Our radio show on the network.
Welcome back to our big broadcast. It is coast to coast. It is border to border. It is TuneIn, iTunes, Real Loyalty. Find us online, JiggyJaguar.us. Also, find us in the app stores or 50-plus AM/FM stations across the country and around the world. iHeartRadio as well. Thanks for joining us today here on our big program. We have got a fantastic new marketing partner we want to tell you about here at Transmedia Worldwide. Before we get to our next guest, who's going to join us here in just a few moments, we want to tell you about netcurrencyindex.com. These folks are absolutely amazing. The latest market news and updates are available at Net Currency Index, the cryptocurrency index benchmark. You can get all the best from all the stages of cryptocurrency markets. You can earn in full automated way from all related blockchain and high-tech industry sectors by the world's first revolutionary and visionary index, the ETF Plus, and the dividend coin in best secured and low-risk way. Get the boost by monthly paid dividends from our cryptocurrency arbitrage trading. Check out netcurrencyindex.com. That's netcurrencyindex.com. They've got all the different information over there. You can register and get more information over there at netcurrencyindex.com. That's netcurrency index.com. That's netcurrencyindex.com. And tell them you heard about it here. Transmedia Worldwide. Let's get to our next guest here on our big program. We are going to go ahead and get a hold of our next guest here on our big program, as I just got done mentioning. And get a hold of us online, JiggyJaguar.com, JiggyJaguar.us for the app, and lots of things happening. If you missed any of our interviews today, you can check out our website, JiggyJaguar.com, for more information. Joe Saraceno is going to join us here in just a few moments. And I believe we may have Joe Saraceno. If we don't, we'll get him.
Hello.
There we are. We've got Joe Saraceno up next on our broadcast. Joe, how are you, my friend? It's James Lowe from The Mix. How are you?
I'm good. Good to hear from you.
We have got Joe Saraceno with us today. We're also going to bring in Jay Bird Wells, our special co-host today, and she is going to join us here in just a few moments as well on our big program. If you want to see us, check out our website, JiggyJaguar.com. We've also got interviews and all sorts of different things going on over there at our website. Now, Joe, give us a little bit on your background, my friend.
Oh my gosh, I'm not sure if this defined me or if it just tried me. I was 48 years old when my son was born, and when he was 7 years old, his mama passed away, and I was 14 years older than her, Carmela, and ultimately I just basically thought, oh my gosh, his mama's gone. What am I going to do? What's going to happen if something happens to me? And literally for a year or so, I had anxiety, I had fear, I was wondering who was going to take care of my boy. And so, wrestling, even when his mama was alive, we were sort of a wrestling family. We went to shows, we met some of the superstars, and so I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be something with such a wide range of age gap, 48 years, that we can bond over. And ultimately, several years later, I think we took it a few steps too far. And I said, buddy, Daddy's going to give something a whirl. And he says, what? I says, I think I want to attempt to try to do this at least once. And we actually pulled it off, and it's been even more than once now.
Awesome.
And I became a pro wrestler at 60 years old. Actually started training at 60 years old, but made my pro wrestling debut at 61 in St. Pete.
That is absolutely amazing. We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here in our broadcast, Joseph Saraceno, and he is fantastic. You can check out everything about him on the web. He's been on WFLA, NBC. He's been on the Bay News 9. He's been all over the place. And Joseph Saraceno became quite possibly the only man in the world to make his pro wrestling debut at 61 years old on a blue wrestling ring squeezed inside a North Tampa industrial warehouse. And first of all, I've got it, I'm a huge wrestling guy. Love pro wrestling, but I'll tell you, after I've seen the way they put those rings together and realized just exactly how much padding there isn't, I'm never getting in there. What the hell was that like, getting in there at the age that you did?
I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into. I didn't have an NFL background. I didn't have a weight training background. I can't say that's not the case today. I was 40 pounds heavier, and when I realized what I was getting myself into, my son was so excited about it, he wouldn't let me stop. And I said, buddy, you got to understand. I says, at this age, you don't heal up like this. And so some of the, so I just kept going, and I don't think it's that I'm that special or anything. It was just a dogged determination to try to pull this off. And even to this day, I'm still sort of perplexed because, I know some of the other wrestling community, I'm not sure, exactly how they looked at that. Some of them probably a little bit not so good, and some of them were rooting me on. But I was just trying to keep my son, from having to deal with the grief of the loss of his mama. And it just seemed to be working, and I thought, hey, that's a healthy thing then.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here in our program, Coast to Coast and Boulder to Boulder on TuneIn, iTunes, Radio Loyalty, iHeartRadio, The Mix, and Joseph Saraceno with us today. And he is fantastic. And Jay, our co-host, joins us on the program. What do you make of this, Jay? This is a hell of a deal. I don't know if we've got her. We may have lost her there. Okay, well, Joseph Saraceno, it is. It's radio. That's how this stuff goes down, my friend. And Joseph Saraceno with us today. He joins us live here in a broadcast. So when you decided that you just had to do this, how did you seek this out? How did you, where did you start?
Well, we happen to be, out in Florida. It's like the hotbed of indie wrestling, although I'm originally from California. I lived there for my first 48 years. And so the legendary wrestler Tugboat, Fred Ottman, he was
oh my God,
Tugboat,
yes.
Typhoon, the Shot
Yes,
Master.
Indeed, Fred Ottman, man. He's great.
Yeah, it was he had legendary professional wrestling up in Tampa. I was visiting just an indie show in Sarasota, and Frank Reyes, which is another legendary referee, and he's been all over the place, WWF, WCW, just been everywhere. He was the head trainer, and he was the one, actually setting up the matches that night. I was introducing him to my son, and I says, I bet Joey would like to be a wrestler someday, and he was sharing with me what they do, how you go through it, what age that you have to be. And just out of nowhere, I looked at him and I says, would you train a 60-year-old? And he said, for what? And I said, to wrestle. And he looks at me and he goes, well, you definitely would need to sign a waiver. But if you have the passion, I'll give you the skills. I mean, I trained in Largo last night with him, with a bunch of guys yesterday. I mean, it's been, like I said, it's been crazy. I haven't broken anything. I've hurt myself a bunch. But last Saturday in St. Pete, I think I had my 5th match.
Heck of a deal. We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here in our broadcast. And so how does it feel?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we've got you. JD. You got any questions for him?
I ended up having to restart my phone so you could hear me.
Cool.
How old is your son now? I must have missed that.
Joey is going to be 14 Wednesday, and his mama passed away when he was 7, and I'm 48 years older than him.
Well, just if he ever asks you to put Legos on the ring, don't do it.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's not fun. We have seen this. It's not fun. It's not a good time. Now, how does? Yeah, go ahead, my friend. I mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I was going to say, once I spoke with Frank Reyes, he says we'll give you a tryout, and so I'm 2 hours from Tampa, so every weekend it was a 4-hour round trip, and little by little, and he worked with me again. It was hard to keep up with the 20 and 30 years old guys, but I just kept working at it, and I don't have any illusions or delusions that I could ever end up, in the WWE. But for right now, it pleases my son. He's into it, and we seem to be getting by.
So, are you becoming hot with the ladies?
Yeah, that would be nice. I think it's been several years. I don't know that you would say that. You could say that being 62 years old, but we are having fun. I mean, it's been interesting because it's a whole nother world, and actually a great bunch of people. Because as I stated, about 45 days after my son's mama passed away, I reached out to some of the WWE people. And there was a small event in one of the towns close by. And to make a long story short, here's this tiny little kid. They put him in the middle of the ring, and they said he's going through a really, really hard time, and we need to give him some encouragement. And back in those days, Kofi Kingston was there, Jiggy was there, Roman Reigns was there. These guys were just, coming up. And here they are shouting Joey's name in the middle of the ring. Joey. Tears just coming down my eyes. I mean, I'm thinking, these people sold me. And that's why some of the steps leading to this event happen, and it is true. Guinness World Book of Records has me into consideration as we speak for being the only man in the world to make his pro wrestling debut at my age. There's lots of wrestlers who have wrestled older.
What kind of advice would you give other 60-year-olds if they wanted to do this?
Well, first of all, I'm glad my son didn't choose ballet. Because then I'd probably... No, I know this sounds funny, but then, I mean, I don't want to have to do the tutu and the shoes and everything, but my point was, even though we both loved wrestling, it wasn't just about wrestling. It was finding that thing that we could navigate through both of our grief. And, no matter what, if there's dreams and goals and things that, you've still not, attempted, hey, you know what is it that we're trying to preserve? I was telling your host there just a moment ago that after Joey's mama passed away, I had a lot of anxiety. Well, I decided I don't want to face my fears. I decided that I was going to attack my fears, even though I believe I've done it in somewhat of a methodical way.
Definitely proud of you, mister.
Definitely. This is a heck of a deal. We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here in our broadcast. And so take me through some of the physical stuff that you had to do to get prepared for all this.
Absolutely. Right off the bat, they wanted me to be able to attempt a certain amount of push-ups, a certain amount of sit-ups, a certain amount of squats. When we would show up to practice, sometimes, we would spend, a good hour and a half, just with cardio. And then there was some of the aspects of the rolls, the forward rolls, the backward rolls, what they would call guerrero rolls, handstand bumps. I don't think I've ever done a backward somersault my entire life. And, I could get in the ring right now and push off the turnbuckle and do a backward somersault and sort of still land on my feet. And even now I'm still amazed we can do this. But, you know, when they talk about wrestling in the terms that they do today, I don't think they recognize the physicality. You know, you've seen some of these people. Some of these guys are monsters. And so, you know, I don't have that kind of physique. I didn't have necessarily, you know, that kind of a background. But I did have a determination that I loved my son so much I'd just about do anything for him.
Did you do some kind of a diet along with the physical activity?
Yeah. I pretty much stayed on the low carb, you know, low carb, mostly protein, and I understood that, you know, that would probably work for me. And I'm probably, like I said, I'm probably 40, 50 pounds down since I started, I think 20 months ago, last March.
Wow. It is a
Was there some kind of a school you guys did together, training?
Well, Joey didn't. He would come with me. But yes, it was a called Legendary Professional Wrestling. It was owned by Fred Ottman, Tugboat Typhoon, the Shockmaster. And, you know, it was literally something that you had to graduate from. They wouldn't allow you to be in any sort of matches unless they thought you were ready. And on June 9th of this year, I made my pro wrestling debut. And, you know, a lot of those are on my Facebook page or on YouTube and stuff like that. You know, I mean, again, I don't purport to be anything like some of these guys that really know the business. I just wanted to make my son happy, but in the meantime, it also gave me some purpose moving forward. And I think that's really what I would share with anybody. You know, you have to have a reason to wake up in the morning. So find something.
Exactly. Instead of sitting there pitying in your grief, it's time to show him to keep living.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, you know, my son's doing so good, I almost feel bad. You know, there was a period where, you know, for the first couple of weeks after his mama passed, he would just come crawl up into my lap every morning, and he's sort of like his mama, didn't show his emotions too much, and I would sing to him. His mama used to sing to him, and tears would just be streaming down my face, and because I didn't know what to do, and he would just, you know, he would whimper, but I think I grieved for him during that time. And so, again, you know, the journey and the pilgrimage for every one of us might be a little different, but I really think it's important that we can just get up in the morning and try to put one foot in front of the other, and we'll eventually get there.
Do you foresee a long future in wrestling for your son?
In some form or fashion, because we both enjoy it and love it so much. You know, you've heard of Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. I mean, if you came to our villa, I mean, it almost looks like a wrestling museum. So I suspect even when because you really can't be trained, from what I hear, in America until you're 16. And so I think in some form or fashion, he wants to at least get into the business end. You know, it's such a great industry now, and it's a booming industry. Whether he actually becomes a wrestler on his own, which I think he'd like to, I think we're going to be involved in some way, shape, or form. And you know, there's other aspects for me. You know, whether I want to become a manager, you know, so many aspects of it. But as long as I'm able to do it, and I'm still in one piece, I think I'm going to do it. And didn't want to make it to be a sideshow. I mean, I really, honestly worked hard to do this. And I think because there have been a few detractors, I really attempted, you know, we're talking 20 months of training. So, you know, just tried to do the best I could.
We've got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here in our broadcast, coast to coast and boulder to boulder on TuneIn, iTunes, Real Loyalty, iHeartRadio. Now, if people want to follow your journey or find you, or how do we do this on social media, my man?
Joseph Saracino, S as in Sam, A-R-R-A-C-I-N-O. On Facebook, everything is on there, even some of the links to YouTube. Inside there, you'll see videos, you'll see some of the things, even some of the matches. My son highlighted them and put music to it. You know, kids nowadays they do that stuff like cake. But yeah, Joseph Saracino on Facebook.
I'm not spelling it right.
Yeah, you may have to spell that, my friend.
S as in Sam, A-R-R-A-C-I-N-O.
We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live, Joseph Saracino. And so Joseph, take me through the process of once you've been through the training and everything, getting you ready and put you in the ring and everything.
Well, one of the things that they do, especially with some of us who they would refer to as rookies, which I sort of still consider myself one, you will actually almost choreograph a match with some ad-libbing, as it were, even if it was, if you were acting in a movie. But again, these are moves that at any given point in time, you can completely hurt yourself or hurt the other person. In my debut match, I took probably 3 major body slams, took a bunch of clotheslines. My coach really said, if we're going to do this, we want to show your wrestling skills off and not just try to, let an old man, take a few bumps and then go ahead and, say he wrestled. The person that they put me up against was actually a student who had been there longer than I had, Edwin Rivera. His wrestling name is Chief Eddie Two Rivers. And we've actually since then gone through a series of 2 or 3 different confrontations where, again, at the beginning, a little bit more choreographed, and in the ring, you just sort of work off of one another, almost like a dance.
Absolutely amazing. We've got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here in our program. Now, have you had any interest from any groups or anybody wanting to book you or anything because of the novelty of the age and anything? Or take us through all this.
Yes, as a matter of fact, back in August, I think it was the first week in August, I was asked by Coastal Championship Wrestling, Pablo Marquez, I was asked to be in a 25-man battle royal and I hadn't been in one before, and the only way out of the ring with 25 men was to go over the ropes and down on, in this case, the cement. And amazingly enough, I lasted till the 3rd person in the ring. So that was pretty cool. I've had people from who were producers from the Steve Harvey show try to contact me who weren't actually working with Steve at the time, and they were wanting me to be involved in some kind of a thing like an America's Got Talent versus The Biggest Loser. And I told them, I says, I think I've already done what I wanted to do. So there have been several offers now that are coming, and I'm just a regular blue-collar guy, which is actually, I use Stick's song, The Blue Collar Man. That's the music I come out to. And, so I don't know that we want to move too quickly. I actually work a regular job. I'm a maintenance guy. And so if I start having to go to New York and California, and, it is starting to build that way, I want to make sure to keep my day job as long as I can.
Yes.
But yeah, we're hearing some interest, and I'm just trying to be prudent.
That's awesome. That's fantastic, man. You have got quite the story here. We have a great guest with us today. Joseph Saraceno joins us here in our broadcast. He is doing some amazing things in the world of pro wrestling, and so take me through the process here when you get booked and you show up at some of these buildings and work some of these shows. What are some of the guys talking to you in the back? Because there's no way that somebody with your age and being in as shape as you are walk into a locker room every day in a professional wrestling event.
Oh, it's insane. So far, so good. These guys have been just terrific. Like I said, there's been a few which I can get into in a moment. But yeah, I mean, in some aspect, they're calling me sir, and I'm going, well, you don't have to do that, and telling me that what I've done is inspiring, and I've just tried to remind them that as much as both my son and I love wrestling, it wasn't just about wrestling. This just happened to be the vehicle. But yeah, I mean, first and foremost, these guys have been terrific. A downside is I actually had a quote-unquote, I thought, personal friend say to me when the Tampa Bay Times came out with some front-page stuff on us. He says, well, there's Joe using his dead mama to get press.
Holy shit.
I didn't think that was very cool.
Wow.
Matter of fact, I'll tell you something. Well, anyway. I mean, and so anyway, I'm telling Paul Guzzo. Paul Guzzo was the staff writer there at the Tampa Bay Times, and later, actually about a year later, I told him this, and he says, I guess they don't understand how the press works, Joe. He said, you didn't seek us out, we sought you.
That is amazing. We have got Joe Saraceno with us today. He joins us live here in our program, coast to coast, border to border, an inspiring individual here on our big broadcast. Now, so going through the training and getting everything like you've needed to get it, and getting in there. What's been some fun moments that you've had?
Well, some of the fun moments is just watching the looks on some of the folks' faces, when I come out, and as well as being able to, amazingly enough, pull off some of the moves that I'm sure a lot of the guys in their 20s and 30s, if they've not done anything like this before, I guess it just tickles me. And again, most of the people that you work with, everybody really does know one another well. And, I had they went ahead and gave me the Rookie of the Year award. Probably not really deserved it, but one of the bad guys there came into the ring, as you probably saw in the past. His name was Bob Cook. He's a legendary wrestler, retired, but he wrestled in WCW and WWF. Even if you looked up Bob Cook on YouTube, I mean, he wrestled Sting, he wrestled Jerry Lawler, he wrestled some of the greats. And, of course, he comes into the ring, takes a hold of the Rookie of the Year award, and proceeded to, when I turned my head, to crush it straight over my head. Knocks me out. That ensues a big. My son's there. Delicious D, who is Bob's valet, takes her shoe off. She's trying to hit me with it. She's chasing my son around in the ring. I mean, this is like, we have some of this footage. But what that did, that set up a tag team that occurred in September between my coach, Frankie Reyes, and me, and Bob Cook and Chief Eddie Two Rivers. It's, again, it could be dangerous, but it ended up being a lot of fun, too.
We've got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here on our big program, and Joe Saraceno with us today. Now, when you've gone out and done some of the media stuff, you've been all over Tampa TV, all these other various places, tell us what their reactions to everything has been.
Primarily it's really been good, and I think each of the people that we've talked with, I've watched them sort of become self-introspective themselves, and it's just good to maybe see a little light go on, and to be able to encourage kids. When I first started taking my kid to school, I'm sure being 48 years older, I'm sure a lot of his friends thought, well, this is his grandpa, bringing the kid to school. Well, I can assure you today, now that they know what his daddy's doing, they don't think I'm his grandpa anymore.
That's awesome.
Tongue in cheek, but still, it's been different with each person. And so, I didn't realize it was going to take off like this. I'm sure that there's probably some opportunities still that are going to occur in the future. But if you were to ever say, well, is this it? Is that all you want to do? I don't think there's any person that's ever wrestled and loved wrestling that wouldn't at least like to maybe once show up on WWE, maybe once be able to get into that ring and take a chance, even with the gimmick that we're doing. It's healthy, it's genuine, and people seem to have responded well to it.
It definitely is a heck of a deal. We've got a great guest with us today. Joseph Saraceno joins us here in the broadcast. Now, what do you think is gonna be, I guess, the future of this whole thing for you?
Probably, as long as I don't kill myself, I'll probably continue to be involved in some way, shape, or form. Amazingly enough, I know this sounds funny, but I've actually gotten stronger and I've gotten faster. Now, again, I never really tried to apply myself during all my life. I didn't have the kind of background these guys have. And I think it's just absolutely amazing what we could do if we really attempted it and tried to apply ourselves. So, as far as the future, not really sure, but still, because we love wrestling, be involved in some way, shape, or form.
Jay, do you have any more questions for our guest here today?
Is there haters in your life that don't think that you should be doing this at this age?
Yes. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see some of that too. And because I think it creates a contrast between me attempting to do something at my age, and even with some of there's a few independent wrestlers out there that that haven't necessarily been the most friendly, but my statement to them was, well, you go ahead and wait till you're 60 years old and you try this. I think because I've been able to pull this off, they might have thought, well, he's making it look bad for everybody. No, I'm not making it look bad. It is as hard or harder than it appears to be to actually do this. Just somehow I happen to do it. And like I said, go ahead and try that at 60 years old.
It definitely is a heck of a deal. Now, have you given any autographs, taken pictures, all these things at your event?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a few. It was a little uncomfortable at first, and now it's just sort of fun. My son just gets a kick out of it. There were times when I started training, and I would try to get on the treadmill in the evenings before I went to bed. My son's pulling the gimmick, hey, if you don't get on that treadmill, Daddy, then you're not a real wrestler. I'm going, oh my gosh, I created a monster. And he's a lot better now. But yeah, it's been fun, and because he's so reserved, like his mama was, he's going, well, look, if you win, can I jump into the ring with you, or Or do you want me to come out with you from behind the curtain? Buddy, that's why I'm doing this. Of course. Of course.
That's awesome.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't, but my son does. That's got a few of the videos, and I think it's called Kingdom Clash. Or if you just Googled on YouTube, Joseph Saraceno Wrestling. I know you possibly were looking there on Facebook. Did you find me?
I found your personal wall. I didn't find a fan page, though.
Yeah, I don't have a fan page. I guess maybe I need to. I mean, if you go through it, there's several different things I've put on there. But I think Kingdom Clash or Kingdom Clash 1, or just Google Joseph Saraceno videos or wrestling, or under Pride of Wrestling, which has been the promotion that I've wrestled the last several matches.
We've got a great guest with us today. Joins us live here in our broadcast. And Joseph Saraceno with us. He has got an amazing story. And you have just put together just a heck of a deal here. You've got all sorts of people that are paying attention to you and wanting to be involved with you. I'm just absolutely blown away by some of the things that you're involved in, my friend. But
thank you.
This social media stuff. Have you noticed that there are a lot of folks that are just all over social media talking about you and the reaction and some of these? Give us some details here, man.
Well, just not too long ago, and they do the for the Hall of Fame, the Ultimate Warrior. They do the Warrior Award every year, and there were actually some buzz there for a while. Them, saying that I should go ahead and get that just for what I was doing, for my son. But I don't think it really rises to that occasion. Right now, I think it's still been somewhat localized, although it has its peaks when all the print and the media and some of the television things came out over the last couple of months. It was pretty hot and heavy. I think it's leveling out, but now we're starting to see another surge. And the good news about it is no matter what happens, I did what I set out to do. I was just hoping to do this once, if I could have just stepped into the ring, because as I stated, I didn't know what I was getting into as far as the physical aspect, as well as the mental and everything else.
Well, I'll have to tell you.
But I pulled it off, and no one will ever be able to take that from me.
Well, and that's what I was getting ready to say. You have put a lot of time and effort into this thing, so you have done enough. if you were to hang him up tomorrow, you've done more than most people have.
Amen.
Well, it's true, and I will throw this one little tidbit in. This is a whole nother animal, a whole nother conversation. But I actually was a senior pastor back in California. I still hold a 501c3 nonprofit status. We actually had a full-blown church. And after about 10 years, when I sort of stepped back, I didn't spend the church's money or have an affair. There was just some issues that I thought, that I just couldn't put my finger on that didn't quite sit well. And probably for about 20 years, I began to, look for some of those answers. Again, for another conversation. When I came to some of those conclusions, a lot of my contemporaries didn't want to hear a thing I had to say because, again, it was outside of that normal, orthodox, traditional thinking that most people have. And in the meantime, and I sort of say this jokingly, but to some degree it's sounding more real, well, they didn't want to have anything to do with some of those answers that I came up with and some of my conclusions. Well, I'll go pursue my own dream. I'll become a wrestler.
I love it.
I did.
I love it, man.
And that's what I do.
Now, have you ever thought about, since you've got some of this training and you're doing some of this, have you ever thought about maybe trying to pursue the Performance Center or something down there in Tampa with WWE?
I don't know if I could endure it. If I was asked to come, it would be an honor. I mean, you know, we're talking the kind of, I mean, you have to be in the kind of shape that's just crazy strong. But, you know, we'll give anything a go. I mean, you know, we've gotten a chance to know a decent amount of people over the years. I mean, we even had a short sit down with Vince McMahon several years ago now.
Oh,
and
really?
Of course, I wasn't doing this. We were just, you know, fans. You know, so I mean, Joey's got a chance to meet Hulk Hogan and John Cena, and I mean, you name it. It was a lot of these guys because I reached out to some of the guys that have done this and said, look, I get it. You know, some of the foundations where they'll try to help kids who, let's say, have a disease that they're not going to live, and it's just like John Cena. He's done 300-400, I think, Make-A-Wish things.
Yeah.
Well, my thing was my son had a hole in his heart, and I wanted to fill it. And so now it's almost like we're sort of on autopilot. When we were on the NBC daytime show, they said, the ladies were asking Joey, they said, so it's pretty impressive what your dad is doing, isn't it? He goes, well, it was at first. He goes, but now it's not so impressive. And I wanted to go, what do you want me to do? Light myself on fire?
No, what
So,
about Legos?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, throw Legos in the middle of the ring. But it's been fun, and to be honest with you, I'm not really sure exactly what we're doing other than, you know, trying to have a good relationship with my son.
Well, it is definitely a fantastic story. I appreciate you making time for us today, coming on and chatting with me and Jay. This has definitely been a fantastic chat. Joe, before we let you go, how do we find you online, get a hold of you, all these different things?
They can just find me on Facebook. My Facebook page is public. It's Joseph Saracino, S as in Sam, ARRACINO.
Good stuff, my friend. Well, I appreciate you making time for us today. Jay, before we let you go for the day, how do we find you online?
Look up JAEBYRD Wells on everything, including International Movie Database.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate both of you guys. And Joe, we will talk to you soon. And Jay, we'll talk to you next week.
All right, cool.
Thanks for your time.
Definitely. Thank you, guys. And there they go. Joe Saracino, Jay Bird Wells. We are going to take a time out. And when we come back, we will wrap things up. We have one final segment here. Might get into some KWR stuff. I don't know. We might talk about the hits that are happening out there at the XWE. We got more coming up on our world famous Jiggy Jaguar Radio broadcast.